Hello, everybody. This is Jacqueline Bowman-Bisato coming to you live from London during my Green Week, which is actually, of course, turned out to be very busy. And now I'm working just from another location. For those of you who are joining for the first time, I'm Jacqueline Bowman, and this is my diary about my personal and professional life as someone living with two very complex chronic diseases, that of obesity as well as autoimmune Hashimoto's. Now, in my last video diary, which I know you guys are watching because you're coming up to me in the street now, or when I go about my business day to day, I did promise you that I was going to talk about intentions. Now, we're halfway through the month of January, but I'm about 6 weeks into my living by intentions, and I'll come to why I'm that far along already. And note that I say intentions and not New Year's resolutions, because those are two very different things with normally actually very different outcomes. So today, I'm going to talk a bit about what I've set as my intentions for the coming 18 months, and also why, how I set them, and how I'm actually implementing them, because we know it's never going to be all perfect. And hopefully give you some tips and tricks along the way as to how you can be very efficient and effective as well about doing similar things. So living by intentions, let me say firstly what it is that I have actually decided to do. So firstly, health above all. That's hardly a surprise when you're living with the chronic diseases that I am. Discipline equals freedom. Getting things done now, and underlying it all, it's not personal. Now, the reason that I came up with all of these is actually because a big part of autoimmune Hashimoto's and also triggers for stress eating and all these sorts of things, your cortisol levels. There's a lot of evidence related to this. So things, for instance, like fat shaming or stressing people living with obesity out on what are you eating? Should you really be putting that into your mouth? Actually, that raises our cortisol levels regardless of size, and we're far more likely then to go chase a quick high of carbs or something else that's actually not very healthy for us, and is definitely not healthy for someone living with autoimmune Hashimoto's. So for me then, I set those in place essentially because I wanted to feel liberated within a framework. I wanted to be able to have set parameters so that I could actually focus on everything that I need to get done whilst maintaining that so-called elusive work-life balance. And I have to say, I'm actually doing pretty well at it at the moment. I mean, there have been a few hiccups on the food, but but in terms of actually health above all, I've been getting up, I've been doing my meditation, I've been actually getting in my 12,000 steps a day, including dancing around the kitchen like no one's watching. I've been going to bed at the correct time and getting good sleep. All of these sorts of things. Now, how are you doing this? Because believe you me, it is quite dynamic within my working environment right now because everybody's woken up, it's January, all these sorts of things. So here are some tips. Firstly, it's really important to do a self-assessment or a self-evaluation. Work out where you are right now. It doesn't matter what time of year it is, preferably not as a New Year's resolution. Take some time, a day over the weekend, whatever it happens to be, and go through. There are lots of templates on the web. I actually went through an app, but I'll put it at the end, in a slide at the end, what I did. And I had a very hard look at what I was doing in various aspects of my life, both personal, professional. And also I said, well, where do I really want to be? Where do I see myself in the next 3 years? So for me, I'll be hitting that big 5-0 in the next 3 years. So at the end of them, so and a bit. So I basically wanted to be sure that actually I wasn't striving for happiness. Because I think that that's very elusive, and there's a lot of research for that too. What I was striving for was to be able to be very intentional. It may not make everybody happy, but you know what? Just as their behavior doesn't make me very happy, I understand that it just isn't personal. And that's one of the things that I decided to work on as well. So, firstly, on timing, you need to, as a recap, you need to take the time at least a day to do a self assessment. You need to look at what your value system is. What are you actually willing to put a red line and say, I will live by these values? The ones I came up with are the intentions that I set. Most importantly, don't just make them, put them aside. You can send yourself a letter 6 months later to see how you're doing, but actually, it's really important to check in on yourself each day. So each month, each quarter, each day, I actually set my intentions for that day. So I review my day mid-afternoon in case there's anything to scramble for. And then I set my intentions as I'm having my cup of yerba mate first thing in the morning, every single morning. It keeps me focused. It's actually very liberating, and I keep things moving. So I would say enjoy setting your intentions, enjoy checking in on yourself. You'll find that you get better, and that you actually don't expect so much of yourself every single day, because you find that you start to get things done. I try and do one major piece of work, so a chunk, a big thing, one per day, because if I put in more than one, I'm going to be very disappointed, because I know it takes me that long to actually really draft a substantial piece of work. But on top of that, I always make sure that I put in meditation and all these other things which I know are going to keep me centered and keep me on track. Because personally, I like to have my cortisol in check, both for obesity purposes, as I said before, and very much so dealing with autoimmune Hashimoto's. So that was my video on setting intentions. Good luck. Please share, please comment, and please join me for my next intrepid journey. Talk to you soon. Bye.